Anyway, Yamu Ajo, Yamu Akwaba, Eddie Aba, big agenda, you made so brasso say ye didn't come on special prosecutor Irakisi Ajibe, and in Central for Edin Comonims originally Nanka, Iraken Ofoti Atta, or ye Omei Kane, swap for his Kasem Swono, or appear before the OSP, so which Remua, and Hodrono, in Tiana went me, ama or request a crowd for a virtual meeting, and I say interaction with the OSP. Ne Adam matters be a Ada Omen Yapon Swache, Bifaye, Era, Sicilia Paho, any other issues, Petroleum Commission, one more acquisition be omoye, in some bebre no abroso. Inti some can say, Special Prosecutor Gusso, one a yen central for aiding command. Quickly, ye call the office of the Special Prosecutor, Nan Koma Wood, you know, ye take a cryaba, Nekwa Wumwa, ye didn't come cano, Eddie Atwasu.
As you are sitting there, there may be some ailments which afflict you, which I do not know. But merely by looking at you, I cannot tell that, oh, you are suffering from this or that or that. What tells us is what I told the first gentleman, a medical report. He's not the only one who's been in the US. He's not the only one who's been to medical facilities in the US. When the US medical facilities are communicating with law enforcement, we know the form in which they come. A hospital administrator goes through a tedious process of detailed analysis of his condition to come to a conclusion that he is unfit to travel, and so he shouldn't be made to travel. That is when a law enforcement agency considers things like the MLA processes, but not on your say-so. Not by way of a biopsy report. Once again, a biopsy report in street language, it is merely like a lab test. That shows you have a certain condition. So in his contest sense, it's indicated that he says he has cancer. It will be a removal of some tissue or fluid to test whether the tissues put in the cassette indicate cancerous cells. It doesn't mean that he's dying tomorrow, God forbid. It doesn't mean that he is so unwell that he can't travel. You know how many people are walking around with cancerous ailments, but they still show up at police stations and law enforcement agencies. So I asked the very first questioner, what is so special about Mr. Ofoti Atta that he thinks that he can lie on his bed somewhere and say on his say-so without any evidence that I'm unwell, I can't show up? Conclusion, he won't come voluntarily. And so we end this process of accommodating him and put him back on the wanted list. Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Ofoti, and I work with AdomTV.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
You said you wanted kind of Ofoti Atta in person. Is it that our laws do not permit trial in absentia? Is it the case that all the documents that have been presented to you by Ofoti Atta, you seem not to have, it does not meet your threshold? Is it also possible that the OSP will elect to go through the process or the trial, and at the end of the day, if the court listens to you and upheld in your favor, the court will declare, or the court will put him to a place that he is supposed to be put, rather than it appearing that the SP or the OSP is becoming a judge in his own court? Thank you.
On this, I would also want to ask you a question. Is this the first time that someone in our country has been declared wanted? Is it? All the persons previously declared wanted before him, were they human? Or they were not human? He is the only human. There's nothing special about this. That is all I'm pointing at. There's nothing special. There's nothing secretive or esoteric about it. It is just a simple legal process. Law enforcement agency wants you, you show up. If you see the gentleman standing by you, if he comes to you to say that you are under arrest, and you do not go quietly with him, what will happen? he will enforce it. If he doesn't reduce the length of one of your foot, your legs, and hauls you along with him. That's all I'm saying. There's no choice about you responding to criminal law enforcement. See, this video conferencing. This is not a civil inquiry. This is not a taking of a deposition in some matter before which we are filing before a court or not. Mind you, we are still in the investigative stage. We haven't filed yet. So everything now is under the purview of the OSP. You get it? Before we go to court, if the court says some emissaries should be taken there to question him under the largesse of whichever authority in whatever jurisdiction he may be found, that's fine. But for us doing investigations, we need to find our criminal suspects. We cannot just sit here and treat things like you are the same person who will turn around and say, we are treating some harshly and we are sugarcoating others. For as far as we are concerned, Mr. Ofoti Atta is not special. I will repeat. We investigated a former president. Have you forgotten? On 8 August 2024, I came right in this room and made told Ghanaians our conclusions and our findings. A former president. He was served with the same processes. He showed up. I'll repeat again. Much less a finance minister, a former finance minister. The OSP stands for this. We do not regard persons. We do not regard titles. We do not regard your station in life. Everyone is the same to us. As we have set the precedent of investigating a former president, no one is beyond our purview. Everyone is fair game if we think you are a suspect in a criminal inquiry. Trial in absentia. I indicated so, that we've triggered the processes for his enforced return back to the jurisdiction. By the time we are ready to go to court, he is still not here. We will file. If we commence the trial, he is still not here. We will commence the proceedings. He can choose to be there, wherever he is, if we haven't found him yet, if we have not enforced his appearance before us. See, criminal proceedings are not to be taken lightly. You respond to them. Even civil proceedings. If you fail to respond to civil proceedings, you will be sitting in your office or home one day and processes will be served on you that you've lost your house. Just because you sat by and didn't respond. And criminal proceedings, now I'm beginning to feel as if I'm in a lecture hall at Legon. With criminal proceedings, you stand the specter of losing your freedom, of losing something valuable to you by way of a fine. And that is no proceeding to joke with. Can I go now? Which is? Oh, documents. Are we a judge in our own cause? We are looking for someone to apprehend, and you're asking whether we are judging our own cause. If we are judging our own cause, it means the law says we should be a judge in our own causes, but it cannot be the case. The law gives us the mandate to investigate and prosecute suspected offenders. The law gives us the mandate copiously by spelling out our investigative powers. This is all we are doing. Mind you, we are performing a statutory function. A statutory function of investigations and likely prosecution. We haven't rendered any judgment on him, have we? Have we said he's guilty of one offense or the other? We haven't said that. We are only saying we have accommodated him enough and we are not going to go further. He is now a wanted person again and a fugitive from justice. That's the last, right? Let me take the one who hasn't had a go. Yes, sir. I saw you shaking your head, not vigorously. What do you disagree with? Let's discuss.
I'm with the
EIB. Okay.
My question is, have Ken Ofoti Atta duly communicated to the OSP at a reasonable time with the update on his alleged surgery date? How much more time would the OSP allotted to him beyond June 2?
Okay, so this is in theory. And in theory, let me answer. In theory, as I said, in practice, he sat by for about 67 days. When it became apparent to him that there will not be any surgical procedure in March, you sat down from 21 March through April, through May, then 28 May, 8 days before you are supposed to show up, you say, I'm on the verge of death, I can't show up on your say-so. From the trajectory of events, from the timelines, from our conduct, it should be clear to everyone that we have been very indulgent and accommodating, even to attract the air of Ghanaians that we were treating him with kiss gloves, ally. I've heard talk. Mr. Boesiako is going through some private hell. And why is Mr. Ofoti Atta being given such a leeway? That is not what prompts our actions. But I'm just saying, our conduct has been to the effect that if you, once again, let me say it in Twi, yemfa yare nya obi. So when the person communicates to you with evidence that he is unwell, that he is unable to travel, that he is unable to move, why do you insist that he must come on a specific date? But when he said to us that, oh, on 20 and 21 March 2025, there will be a possible surgical intervention, then we carefully considered a recovery period after 21 March 2025. Give it 6 weeks, for instance. But we gave it 8 weeks. And we added more days to it, by which time you should have recovered. What prompted us to give such a leeway from 21 March? No, from 17 February, 18 February. What prompted us to give him that leeway all the way to 2nd June? It answers you. And so if you had communicated to us, and not in this bad faith way of communication, that indeed he is unable to move, he is a travel risk, he is an invalid, we would have accommodated him. But this is utter bad faith. And we won't go on this trajectory again. That's the last. Right? He's been dying to ask his last question. Oh, they said prime time is over.
This has to do with the extradition. If we know if investigations have revealed whether he's not acquired any other citizenship outside of Ghana, which possibly could make that difficult. You
see, when I talked about extradition, Sammy, please let me answer. This is crucial. See, when I talked about extradition, I said something. I didn't limit it to one jurisdiction. The request for extradition was in any jurisdiction he may be found. As we are talking now, he says he's in the U.S. Are you sure he's in the U.S.? So if you are tunneled vision and limited to the U.S., you do an extradition request for the U.S., so many questions will come. Do you have an extradition treaty with the U.S.? Is the U.S. amenable to bring him? What if he's even moved from the U.S.? What if he's in South Africa? How would you know? So you throw your net, and that is why the Interpol Red Notice is crucial. Goes to all 196 or so parties to it. And wherever he may be found, provisionally apprehend him, and then we begin the process. He may choose to surrender and come quietly. Yeah. So those are the considerations that go into extradition. Thank you so much for coming. Have a nice evening.
Enti enkoma special prosecutor Yera Kisi Ajiben ene sentrefo di ede afa Yera Ken Ofoti Atta ne somehow do mo hwehwe mu no eno nsunsuanso ni nkomo no edoso yetimi miebie ni nyina mu nti ye de besi ha na me ade we free ochina ko dwaso nsem bedwam ene other shows no probably big agenda so ye be bibiri aka ni nyina mu na yahwe ensem a ewo mu ene ho legal implications de ewo mu a ewo se me no me ni esua efiri mu ye frame na na say yampofo je na se enkoma production team ni nyina edamase